Dart Talk carries the Internet Broadcast Rating TVD, a broadcast that is specifically designed to be viewed or heard by the darting community, and therefore may be incomprehensible to other lesser mammals. Darter discretion advised.
It's time for Dart Talk, brought to you by thedartzone.com. Stay in the zone. Thedartzone.com is an official Cosmo distributor, and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics, and Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
Okay, welcome to Dart Talk.
Welcome.
Another Wednesday,
Yes, it is.
October something.
The 9th, I think. Yes, it is the 9th.
Good luck to the Cardinal and Pirate fans who aren't watching. And
Right.
the Blackhawk fans who aren't watching. And I don't know what else is going on tonight. But
Oh, they can DVR that.
Dart Talk brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
DartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Windy City Fabricators, Redwood Darts. And we have a special in-studio guest.
we do.
Adam Thorne-Smith is with us. How are you, Adam?
Hi-oh.
What does sassy chat room girls chair feel like?
Well, it's very comfortable. It leans back and has wheels.
Does that bell work? Okay,
does.
so
It
we're all
does.
set. Okay, so we have a guest in the chat room. We'll have Adam on camera in a little while. We have a lot to get to. It was like a huge weekend
Why is Adam here?
in darts. Adam is here to appear on the show.
I mean,
Well,
promoting anything?
Well, aside from himself.
Okay.
No, Adam attended the WDF World Cup, so
All right.
we're going to get a report from him. And then I had actually took Larry Butler to the airport today. So he's on his way to Hong Kong to play in the Darts Live Stage 7 World Soft Tip Championship. So we'll get an interview with him when he
Did you
gets
get paid
back
for
next
that?
week. And what?
Take him to the airport?
Did I get paid?
Yeah, did he give
I
you
do
a-
favors for friends.
Okay.
I'm a nice guy. Don't listen to what everybody says
All right.
because
I'm
only
just
part
asking.
of it's true. Should we disclaim any and all
Absolutely.
things before we begin?
Of course.
Okay. So then we need a disclaimer.
Yeah, you got one? You think you could find one in that archive?
I believe that we have something here that'll fit the bill.
All right, that would be great.
The views, opinions, rants, and rampages expressed on Dart Talk do not necessarily reflect individually or collectively those of our sponsors, co-sponsors, wannabe hosts, hearing-impaired critics, or those with a penchant for attitudinal dysfunction. We at Dart Talk strive to provide you, the listener, with an educational, entertaining, and fun-filled experience each and every week. If after the show you, the listener, find yourself feeling uneducated, unentertained, and or bored, we at Dart Talk consider that your own problem.
And we wish you luck with that.
Yep, makes sense.
Who was that person?
That's one of our listeners in New Zealand who volunteered. We got tired of our old disclaimer. So we've been using it for a long time. So he's like, well, I'll give it a whack. And he did a great job.
I'll give it a go, as they probably
He
say.
gave it a go.
Yeah.
Well, I don't...
Or is
well,
that
that's
the English?
British. Yeah, I don't
sorry,
know. New
my bad.
Zealand, they probably do something else.
Yeah, right.
But,
Probably true.
Anyway, yeah, so he sent that along. We have a lot of listeners all over the place. We like them.
We've got folks listening in Brazil right now.
In Brazil? Okay, awesome. Well, thanks everybody for listening. We have a lot to get to. So we have Adam here. He'll report on the WDF World Cup that took place in Newfoundland, Canada over the weekend. And we're going to go a little bit in depth on that because I thought it was remarkable in a lot of ways. So I want to talk a lot about that. We have results from New York. We got some DPNY results. We also have results from the Easy Money Open. I went down to Kentucky and played in that. I played
Was
in,
it Easy Money?
Not for me.
Oh, okay.
for whoever I happened to play at one point.
that it was,
kinda
yeah. There.
Not to disparage anything.
Or that was just easy advancement for
Well,
anybody
I
that
think,
played you.
honestly, I think it's like the 9th straight final I've lost in the state of Kentucky, and I'm really at my wit's end because they keep doing this thing where the finals board had no Aki. All the other boards do. So when you get in the final, now you're looking down at tape and stuff, and it's like, okay, I adjusted to that. I played a good second leg, and then I don't know what happened. I played like 10 rounds of cricket without hitting a triple. It's like, wow, this won't work.
That's
pretty sure. That strategy.
That's bad.
That strategy failed
just
miserably.
doesn't work, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
but
actually, it'd be more impressive if you actually did win doing that.
let me tell.
Just start attacking the doubles.
Well, oh geez.
In cricket?
Yeah.
He's from Oregon. They play some funny cricket in
If you
Oregon.
can't hit a triple.
Well, no, the funny thing was,
Does that happen?
No.
Okay.
yeah, no, he's kidding. We'll get to that. We'll also talk about, we did a little walking dart crawl.
It was like a marathon.
It was a marathon. I took him to 7 dart bars last night, and we played in like half of them. The other ones we just
Nice.
kind
That's
of
good.
took some pictures and stuff.
Right.
Because there's a league night, so there's leagues going on. And
Do you guys challenge anybody? Do anything exciting?
yeah,
or-
we played some of the locals that we ran into. Yeah, absolutely. And Adam, we could talk about that, later in the show. But just a little personal time. This is how nuts it's been for me since the last show, right? The day after the show, I went and practiced. Which I've got these new lighter darts. Like I started the year at 26.25 grams, and I'm down to just over 21 on steel darts. So it's it's an adjustment for me anyway. So I went and practiced for a few hours on Friday, or on Thursday. On Friday, I went to play a local draw because it had this big money trip spot.
Right.
Then I left the draw at 11 o'clock, something like that, 10 o'clock. Drove to Lexington, Kentucky. Got there at 5:30 in the morning, slept for 2.5 hours, got up, played the youth event with Gordon Perkinson's teenage son. Gordon Perkins,
I was gonna
teenage
say,
son.
is-
Yeah.
In my list, it's Perkins.
I'm
So-
down. I'm seriously sleep deprived for
No,
this
anyway,
show.
So you play.
So I played.
Gordon,
Yeah,
Gordon's son.
Yeah, played all day Saturday. Ran out of gas. Almost had to forfeit the triples because I kind of fell asleep. And they're knocking on the door and I wasn't hearing them. They're calling my phone. I didn't hear it ring. Stuff like that. Played on Sunday. Drove back through this monsoon that ended up messing up Tom Brady's touchdown record.
Did
you?
Yeah.
I drove
saw
through
that.
that, and it drove me off the road right into actually a nice place to sit and have a burger and watch the end of the game. And I'm like, that rain looks familiar, right? So that was Sunday, right? Go home Sunday, and then Monday, one of our listeners happened to be in town, and he's like, hey, I told him about a local dart bar at Monsignor Murphy, so he's like, hey, I'll meet you there. We ended up playing for 5 hours. It's like, okay, wow. Then yesterday, Adam shows up. And so we went to 7 dart bars, starting at 4 or 5 in the afternoon, going to 1 in the morning. And I haven't played so many darts in my life.
Right.
I mean, as far as playing locally, I mean, it was
Good time.
well, I'm trying to get used to these darts. So, it's coming slowly. They started to feel a little more comfortable, a little like, oh, yeah, this is how they're supposed to feel kind of thing. But, man, for a couple of weeks there, kind of
It
frightening.
was a struggle.
Kind of frightening. So we have some news. You want to do this?
You want to do the news first?
Yeah, let's do. We got some NWDS news.
We do.
That was sent to us. So let's get that out of the way.
Let's see. After 1 year and 2 great events, the New World Dart Series has made some changes to their corporate structure to take advantage of the strengths and expertise of the members. You can read a press release issued by the NWDS at newworlddartseries.com for more details. Registration is open for the event on the website.
Those glasses bothering you? I could read that from here.
Well, I know, but it doesn't flow. Registration.
What
is
are you,
open
a
for,
critic?
Registration is open for the event on the website. We've added a leave a deposit option. Registration closes when full or on October 28th.
Okay, so now you don't have to pay the full fee in advance. You can just put a deposit down and then pay the balance
Right.
sometime else. Is that what that is? Okay.
After
That's
October
new.
28th, if the event is not full, we will continue to take registrations for an additional $50.
Okay, so there's a late fee if you don't get your entry in by the 28th. Okay, sounds good.
Email info@newworlddartseries.com for information. Congrats to Danny Delfino, who traveled to well-attended Chattanooga event and won his entry and hotel accommodation to the New Orleans event. This week, there are hometown events scheduled in San Antonio, Texas, and Shreveport, Louisiana.
That's San Angelo, Texas.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
That is correct.
They might be right next door to each other.
Right.
I mean, they are
Yeah,
alphabetically
please don't go
anyway.
to San Antonio, though. Don't let me veer you to San Antonio.
I thought I was sleep deprived today. All right.
See the event schedule on our web page or like us on Facebook.
Okay, so that's the New World Dart Series. So apparently there was some corporate restructuring. Okay.
Which apparently
There's a press release you can get off
I've
the
done
website.
so well with that.
Yeah, you had a hard time with that. I know it's like 3 different sized letters.
I don't know, but
but
it didn't
you know, I
seem
didn't know
like
you
it
were a
flew-
literary
it
critic. I
didn't
thought that
flow.
was my deal. Okay, it didn't flow.
Read the copy.
Oh my
Read
God.
the copy.
Try putting that in your book report. Well, I liked the book, but it didn't flow. That's an automatic F, just by the way. Okay, so that was the NWDS.
Please feel free to
It's
Never mind. Feel free
Sassy's
to-
not here.
feel
We're
free
picking
to
on you tonight.
Me never speak again. That's all I can say right now. I don't know.
Let's see. Let's get some other
Correct.
results while we're here. We'll save the WDF results for when we get Adam on camera.
All right.
We did get results from somewhere. Did you printed them up, right? You've got Kentucky results. You want to do those right away?
The Easy Money Open.
Easy Money Open. Let's get those. Let's just do those right away.
All right.
Okay.
I apologize. Not everybody has a nickname.
Are we doing the nicknames again?
We're gonna try.
Good luck with that.
All right, we'll start with the women's pro shoot. Top 4, Shannon Stone. See, I screwed up already. Shannon Stone Mason and Tammy Wadden Dunning for top 4. Second place goes to Slim Kim Keller, and Angie the Dark McKnight wins first place.
Angie the Dark McKnight. I like that. Okay, good one.
Your men's pro shoot, top 4 goes to Pat Jurison Park and Zach Attack Powell. Second place goes to Ben Below the Belts, and Gordon Coffee Perkins is your winner there.
Yeah, Gordon Perkins. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Okay, congrats to all those
I
guys.
thought you were going to like
women.
Jurison Park.
I did.
you
I was
didn't
like, hey,
comment
that
on
was
that.
pretty good.
So
Yeah.
anyway, the blind draw on Friday, your top 4 goes to Slim Kim Keller and Chris, my best friend, T-Rex Edwards, and Ben Below the Belts for top 4. Second place goes to Zach Attack Powell and Ben the Merciless Minx. First place goes to Don Juan Tressler and Pat Jurison Park.
It's Ben Minx the Merciless.
I did it backwards. Sorry. Ben Minx the Merciless.
What's
Ben
the over?
Merciless
What's
Minx.
the over under on goofs on this show today? Like 80. Go ahead. That's all right.
I need a staff.
We've got at least 3 goofs already, right?
Yeah.
here.
Oh, we got more
Well,
than 3.
and we'll still count.
It's pick on
we're
Mark
not
night.
done yet.
I was talking
apparently.
about us 3.
We're not
Oh,
done yet.
okay.
Oh, good point.
Wow. Here we got
All right,
wit.
so-
We've got wit. Oh,
you got,
wow.
You got your,
Let's get used
we
to
haven't
that.
had that in that seat in a long time, have we? Wit?
Oh, wow. Picking on her when she's sick
Sorry,
and in the
sorry.
chat room. Nice. Okay.
Oh,
Hang on.
Next tournament Steve wins, he should buy Mark a hat that isn't ridiculous.
there you go. Wow, I haven't heard that one yet.
Well, we have a spare hat for you in the coat room there. If we could change
Did everybody
it
see
during
the
the
show
break.
when I had that red one with the tassels
We still
on?
have that.
Yeah,
That's why I'm
one.
saying.
I
wore
like that
that
hat.
once. That
What do you
Yeah.
got sticking out of the little things around it?
They're tassels or something.
Tassels, yeah.
Tassels.
We can break that hat out. He hasn't worn that in a long time. Let's continue with the results.
All right. So I got the mixed doubles now. I got your top 4. I got Baby Ruth Kenny and Gordon Coffee Perkins. I got Jeff Magic Flutie and Julie in the Buffington for your top 4. Second place goes to David One and Dunning and Angie Not Opie Taylor. First place goes to Pat Jurison Park and Kay the Vacuum Hoover, and I'm sure she's never heard that one before.
Well, at least it's not Mary Kay Hoover.
Right. So
I
your
don't think
men's
she's going to like any of that.
your
Or
men's
Herbert.
singles.
That's even worse.
Your men's singles goes to Steve, I Lost My Peninsulman, and Nick Stag Party. Second place goes to Hangin' Chad Bivens, and first place goes to Ben Below the Belts.
You know what? Stag Party's good because I was racking my brains and I could not figure
Yeah.
out one for Nick Staggy Because it's Staggy, not
It's
Stag.
Staggy Party,
But
so-
Stag Party's good. I like
So,
that.
but
Okay.
even Staggy Party works too, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like Nick the Greek Staggy. I'm like, I'm not even sure he's Greek, So that was good. I like that.
Your women's singles top 4 goes to Kathy, $5 Salway. How's that?
That's good. I like
and
that.
Rhonda Perkins or Coffee Perkins. Slim Kim Keller gets second, and Jennifer B. Alert or Alert.
Oh, no, it was first. Jennifer First Alert. Yeah,
Oh, you
Jennifer
didn't tell me
Alert.
that one.
I said
First
first.
Alert. All right.
Okay.
First Alert. All right.
I think we're
And this
double digits
continues.
on the goofs now.
This
Okay.
continues. All right,
Awesome.
your men's doubles, cricket, top 4. Dear John Frank and Steve, I've lost my penultimate. David Dunning and Jared Leedy. I didn't get nicknames for them. I apologize. Gordon Coffee Perkins and T-Rex Edwards for second place. First place goes to Mitch Peyton Place and Marty Wiggins. Got anything for Marty Wiggins?
We made top 4?
Apparently.
I don't think I got paid for that.
Uh-oh. might have to send out an email.
I
on
don't
that.
remember getting any money for top 4. Okay, I'm going to have a word with Dear John Frank. I think he held out on me there. Okay. Women's doubles?
Women's doubles, top 4, Julie in the Buffington and Angie, not Opie Taylor, Shannon Stone Mason, and Goalie Powell. Got nothing for her. Second place goes
Goalie
to...
Mask Powell.
Oh, that's a good one. Goalie Mask Powell. All right.
I can't believe her name is Goalie.
Goalie.
I think that's probably a typo.
Goalie Mask Powell. Second place goes to Jennifer... What did you say?
First Alert.
First Alert. Jennifer First Alert and Missy Tate Sprague, which I had nothing for her. Kathy, $5. $5 Salway.
I like that $5 salary. I like
First
that.
place with her and Kay the vacuum hoover. They get first place. Your mixed triples goes to Ben Below the Belts. Top 4, Ben Below the Belts. Michael Chambers, Missy Tate Sprague, Tanya Hauer, Barry Holland, and Randall Gast. Second place goes to Gordon Coffee Perkins, T-Rex Edwards, and Rhonda Coffee Perkins. First place goes to Mark Hilbert, Ruth Kenny, and Drew Matlock.
Yeah, Baby Ruth Kenny, Headhunter Hilbert, and
Headhunter Hilbert, that was it. Okay.
Matlock.
Drew Matlock.
Well, there's a TV show, Matlock.
Yeah, but it was just
you
Matlock.
can't- What
That
do
was
you?
it, yeah.
That's
Right.
brutal.
Right.
Okay. Anything else?
You could say Nancy Drew Matlock, but I don't think he would like that very much. No, that
I
wouldn't
don't
be
think
good.
so.
So I got a blind draw from Saturday. Top 4, Ben Minks the Merciless. Right? Did I say
Minks
that
the
right?
Merciless,
Minks
yep.
the Merciless. And Renee McAlpin with Wayne Wells and Chad Bivens. Jeff Flutie second with Troy Newton. And then Ben Below the Belts and Pat Jerson Park win the blind draw. Your men's singles cricket. Ben Below the Belts and Pat Jerson Park, top 4. Steve, I've lost my penultimate, second place. And Nick Stag Party
Nick Stag Party.
wins the men's singles cricket.
Congrats to him.
And this keeps going. We got
Drop the nicknames. Let's move
okay.
this along.
Blind draw Sunday. We got top 4. Kim Keller, Ginger Sloan, Kay Hoover, Bettina Wisman. Top 4. Jeff Flutie and John Frank second place with Pat Jerson and Kathy Salway first for the blind draw. Then you have your youth events. The adult youth under 13. First place goes to Nathan Clark and Albert Crudy Jr. 13 to 17. First place goes to Trey Gordon and Steve Penuncialman. And singles 501 under 13. Nathan Clark wins that. Singles 501 13 to 17. Trey Gordon wins that. And draw doubles cricket. First place goes to D.T. Knowles and Nathan Clark.
Okay, well, that didn't take too long.
And I believe... hold on. I got another page.
Okay,
Oh,
I'm
thank God
pretty
it's
sure
blank.
it's blank.
Oh,
All
thank
right.
God.
All right. Yeah, it was a good time. I really like going down to Kentucky to play. The people are so nice.
Yeah.
The weather was like gorgeous, and there's just something pastoral and slower when you go down and you play in the South. Living in Chicago and stuff, it's a lot of racing around. But somehow you go down there and it's just, everything's at a different pace, and it's a well-run tournament and, everybody's, a lot of good players
How
too.
was playing with the Utes?
Well, I don't know. I'm never comfortable doing that. Like, I'm playing some kid and his father, and I just feel like, the ringer from out of town. You know what I mean? And it's just sort of like, well, whatever. You know, you just play. You know.
Okay.
And then, you know, some people get geeked up to play this stuff, and that makes me uncomfortable because, you know, I just met this kid, and, you know, the one father's like, you know, pumping his fist on like a 125, and I'm like, okay,
Right.
nice shot. I mean, it's just a weird, for me, it's weird. I mean, people that do this all the time probably don't think about it, you know, but I like that they do youth adult events. But this one was run differently than the ones I've played before. Usually, like, the adults are out of it once you get below 100. But in this one, you know, I was throwing, it was like single out and everything. It was different. But it's nice playing with, you know, I mean, the kids are really into it. You know, these teenage kids, you know, they're really into it. They're very respectful. They're very well-mannered and stuff. So it was, you know, it was fun, you know, to do it. It's just, it's so different than just playing.
Right.
Like, you know, somebody says, hey, you want to play mixed? Yeah, sure, we'll play. Never played with you before, but it's much different doing this youth thing. I'm like, I feel like I'm always stepping on eggshells, and maybe, you know, that's just me. But,
Right.
you know, it's an odd thing. All right, let's take a break, and we'll get Adam Smith on camera, and we'll start talking some WDF World Cup. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mark Steve, special guest Adam Smith. We'll be right back. Okay, back for the second quarter, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, thanks to Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts. And on camera now we have Adam Thorne-Smith of Portland, Oregon, I believe. How you doing, Adam?
You pronounced that correctly.
I did. I lived in L.A. for like 10 years, so I know how to say Oregon.
Excellent.
Okay.
Not a
You're
lot of
going to have
people
to, we're going to have to get your audio. Get that mic a little closer to you.
All right, I will make out with the
And
mic.
you can probably like angle it a little more so you don't have to like,
Okay.
kind of like that. We didn't have time to do like separate sound checks for seating. We'll let the audience, let our listeners know kind of a little bit what you're all about as far as, dart wise and how you're connected to the dart world. If that's not vague enough for you.
You got it. I will let the audience know what I'm all about. I'm all about spreading the sport of darts around the world, and that's what I try to do, and I spend a lot of time promoting the game and writing about the game and saving my money to go see the game anywhere I can get to and share it with other people so they all fall in love with the game.
And you've been to quite a lot of places. Aside from being in Newfoundland last weekend, we were talking offline. You've been to, was it Uganda or something?
I have not been to Uganda yet.
Okay. Well, there was somewhere you were telling me about something where you busted a 181.
Louder.
That was
Apparently louder.
that
I don't
was-
know who wants to be. Somebody says louder.
Okay.
Was that me? They won louder?
Probably.
The story I was telling you about took place in Uruguay. It's in
Uruguay.
It's in
Okay.
South America.
Well,
You
it's a
got- was
country
U
that begins
country.
with a
Yeah,
U.
You
Okay.
got that right.
Well,
That was
I
good.
wasn't far off. I probably wasn't listening that closely anyway. When you said busted a 181, I believe I was rolling my eyes.
I did that on
Yeah.
purpose, by the way.
Well, okay. That's fine.
You purposely busted a 181?
It was just a practice game.
Oh,
Mr.
okay.
Mark. By the way, I'm wearing these glasses and this hat to be part of the team.
There you go.
Honor
Yeah,
Mystery
yeah.
Mark and
We-
Steve Panasiaman.
We spent some time playing darts. He's got an interesting game, but before he says it, I will say it. The first leg we played, he took a leg of 301 off me. So
I wanted to brag about that.
No. Let me do it for you.
I was undefeated for like
once
one
again-
We're
leg.
undefeated for an entire
Once
leg.
again, he steals your thunder.
I think I ended up like about 4-27.
For
or so.
what,
Maybe,
for the whole
maybe-
night?
Maybe 4, yeah. Maybe 3.
What, off me or all
Yeah,
together?
well, I won the first 2 301 games we played.
Right.
And I almost won a
Oh,
couple
see,
of the
Steve
501s.
just said you won the first one, not the first two.
Well, I won the
Well,
first
we
leg.
played
We were playing
formats,
Chicago
so-
style because we're in Chicago.
Right, so we had to explain to him Chicago format. And as usual, somebody who's new to Chicago format, when they win the diddle, they're like, well, let's start with cricket. And I just shake my head. And I'm like, I explained it to you. Okay, do it your way now. So it was fun. So you've been playing
Well,
darts
hold on.
since...
He chose cricket but still beat you.
No.
No,
Oh, okay.
I never won a leg of cricket all night
Oh,
against Steve.
they don't play... They play a different brand of cricket in Portland.
Okay.
Apparently.
Well, that's a little bit true. I also play a little differently. I'm a bit of a rogue player when it comes to strategy.
Or the lack of it.
Or
There you go.
Or yes.
Just kidding. So,
All right, I'm sorry. Go back to what you were
No.
saying.
So you were telling me you started playing in 2005?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
You want the story?
Well, that's the only reason I brought it up.
So I was a teacher.
It's not going to work in trivia.
All right, I'll try to make it quick. So I was a teacher, and being from Portland, Oregon, I'm a big Portland Trail Blazer fan. And after work, I would go enjoy the games in a bar. They had a couple boards. I started watching people play. I started playing with them. They invited me to join league, which I did. First team that I formed was the Portland Thorns, named after Portland itself, which is known as the Rose City. And that's a nickname that I eventually took for myself as a writer name.
Well, we could probably come up
was
with
it steel
something
or
better than
plastic?
Thorn.
All steel. I support both forms of darts equally, but I prefer steel.
Okay.
So when you started playing, though, in the bars, they were steel boards.
They were steel boards, and tell you what, Mystery Mark, I used the little 5-gram plastic darts.
Did you? Yeah.
And
the little bar darts, you mean?
Yeah.
and this bar had a set of the red, the blue, and the yellow, and I loved the yellow set because it had a cigarette burn in one of the flights, and there was nothing better than beating all those guys that had their own darts with these little cheap
Right.
darts with cigarette burns in them. I hope a couple of them are listening because those were fun days. A little bar called Slabtown.
Slabtown in Portland, Oregon?
Slabtown, USA. In fact, after we won our first season, we went undefeated. They put us up on the marquee. City champions. This was B division, of course, but
Well, congrats on that.
thank you. I'm still celebrating.
Do you still have the plaque?
We do have the plaque somewhere.
Right.
I think some
That's
of my
good.
teammates have it.
All right.
That's interesting. We're trying to throw out like 3 boxes of plaques, and we're trying to figure out, does somebody recycle these things or something? And then
Oh,
the
they
closest
should,
thing
yeah.
well, I mean, we could give them back to the people that, actually made them. And I'm like, well, why should they get like freebies? They should give us something for them, right?
You would think, yeah.
If they're just going to unscrew that one and throw on another one and keep all the wood, I'm like,
Right.
no,
You could probably shingle a house with all your plaques.
I've thrown out a lot, and the ones there's only a few that you really want to keep for one reason or another. When you start looking back, which I've been doing lately.
Well, the
You know,
problem
you
to me
kind of
is
forget
I
a
mean,
lot
you
of
get a
them.
plaque for third, second in the Windy City. It's just like, if you don't win, what do you want a second place plaque for?
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know. It depends how much you win. Some people, want to see the progression. They want to put up their top fours, and then when they put a top
I
four,
don't
they
get
want a
that.
second, then they want a first, and then once you have 15 firsts, I mean, the
right.
top
But
fours
I don't get
go
that.
in the
But,
drawer.
right. But once you have a
Well-
first, then the seconds and the third should go in the drawer, right?
Yeah, I would think.
So,
I mean, not everybody has 4 boxes of plaques. I mean, so I mean, they mean what they mean to whoever they
Whoever,
mean.
right. I agree.
It's kind of funny. We were in. We
Monsignors?
talk about our little. Yeah, the last place we stopped at. Somebody pointed out a plaque to you that meant a lot to him. It was from 9 years before, but he had beat me in a cricket match, and he's like, "Hey, I beat Steve. Look, there's the
Once
plaque
again,
for it."
that's the story I wanted to tell.
Well.
He's still proud of it.
You-
9
you-
years
you're-
later.
Well, and good for him. I mean, I
It
don't
is
play.
cool.
I don't play League much anymore. But you talk about how to grow darts from a grassroots level. That's where you start. You start with League play.
It's true. Those things mean a lot to players when they're starting out.
Recycle the plaques with youth events.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Except, how do you do that?
I don't
mean,
know.
eventually you're going to give the plaques to the company that sold them to you in the first place, and then they're going
They
to
have to
sell
pay
you
for it
youth
again.
plaques.
Right.
And if they give you a discount, great. I mean, that's what they should do. I mean, you
Right.
should get something for them. They shouldn't just profit by it. Is kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And then we found something online that we recycle them, and the place had changed its phone, and now it was like an auto mechanics place. I'm like, oh, okay. The trophy recycling business must not be that good. So that was a good suggestion, though, with the youth events and keep
That
those.
was from
keep those.
SBT as.
Okay, well, keep those cards and letters coming. So 2005, you started playing, but at some point you started combining playing darts with actually traveling.
It's a pretty interesting story when I look back at it. I fell in love with the game right away, and the website at the time for my home league, the Portland Area Darts Association. I don't know if I can mention that.
Sure, why not?
It allowed you to put blogs up on it and posts up on it. So I started taking pictures and writing little stories about these events I was going to.
Okay, let me just interrupt you there because I want to ask you, what was it that really hooked you on playing?
I don't know, but I recently was thinking about it, and I know when I was young, I remember seeing darts on TV back in the late 70s and the early 80s. And it
In
was just-
America?
yeah, when cable first came out. And I'd flip across these channels and stumble on it and be like, wow, and I would watch until it was over. And I never really did anything more than that with it. And then I remember being a teenager and friends had dart boards and we'd try to figure out how to play 301. We kind of knew the numbers of the games that we were supposed to play, but we didn't know the rules. But I never really picked it up. There's just something compelling about the game. I think it's because, it's a very instinctive act. You're trying to throw an object and hit a target. I love the aspect of the math and the strategy. And anybody can play. It's a great game. It's very inclusive. And right away when I started playing, as I am, anything that I love, I'm pretty good at getting other people to start falling in love with it too. And I started, everybody that was in the bar around me when I was playing, I would invite them up and we would just play and play and play. And anything that would happen that was great, anybody's great shot, I would eventually celebrate and often write down and tell other people about. Because that's what I enjoy about the game is seeing those amazing shots happen. It doesn't really matter who hits them. They're all cool.
Okay.
Everybody has that same feeling when they hit the bullseye, or when they hit the triple 20.
Okay. And then, so you started writing on the league's blogs
Correct.
about your matches and things like that?
Correct. And I did that for about a year, and eventually they changed the league website, so you could no longer do that. And about the same time, I joined a forum.
Was that an editorial statement or?
No, not really. They just updated the website, and they sort of took out the ability to blog on it anymore.
Okay.
But I still wanted to do that, so I found a forum where I could do it. I became very active in that. I eventually started my own blog in that forum. And I think my first travel darts story, which is kind of my shtick, travel and darts, I went to Alaska, and the World Series of Darts was going on. It happened to be on the TV live while I was in a bar in Seward, Alaska, playing up there. And
They had it. You're talking about the, not that they had a qualifier in Alaska, but the actual event that was going on in Connecticut, they were showing on
Right.
ESPN in Alaska.
Exactly.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was on a
All
big
right.
screen TV in the background while
Okay.
I was also playing with people. Some friends of mine were living up there working on the whale watching boats, and they invited me up. So there I was having an amazing time in Seward, Alaska, enjoying the nature and the people and playing darts in a bar, and I could see darts on TV at the same time. Shortly after that, I had a big change in my life, and I moved to South America. I lived in Uruguay. And they have no darts down there at all. I mean, it's almost impossible to find. It may be a little different now, but basically there's not a lot of darts in any of Latin America.
So they have like, the little blow things, like blow darts or something?
They blow darts,
No,
yeah.
we're not talking about playing in the rainforest or anything
Oh,
like that.
okay. This is actually in urban Uruguay.
Yes. I was in the big city of Montevideo.
Did you try and bring it, like, the thought to them? Like, hey, I got a game that you guys have never seen?
Oh, I did. First of all, for the first few months, I didn't have a board or my darts. And I continued to write about league reports in my hometown by just reading the stats off the website and writing stories in this forum. But eventually my wife made a visit back to the States, and she surprised me around my birthday by bringing a board back, and she brought my darts down with her.
The yellow bar darts? Or
No,
did
she
you-
didn't bring those. I
Okay.
had
the
purchased
cigarette
a set
burn?
by
No,
then.
you got. Oh, okay.
I don't know. Does this make any difference? But why did you move to Uruguay?
One day the wife just said, "Let's go live abroad," and I didn't hesitate to say yes. We chose South America because I had been to quite a few continents already, and she had been nowhere. So we chose a place that neither of us had been.
Oh, okay.
We
All
looked at Chile and Argentina.
So you didn't just
so-
spin a globe and
Yeah,
like close your eyes with your
Yeah,
finger
there
and be
was a
like,
little
"Hey,
bit of
let's go to
logic it.
Uruguay." Okay.
And we had
All
a friend of a friend who had a brother there, and he helped bring us in, and it was really
Nice.
a fantastic place to go. Love it down
So
there.
did you bring darts to Uruguay at all in
Well-
any aspect?
Well, I did, but before I tell you about that, I got to mention that, first of all, I have to say thank you to the people that have helped make this trip that I'm on right now possible. Jeff Smith, who led me to Troy Hanlon and Billy St. Croix in Canada, who hosted me. Without them, I wouldn't have been able to afford to go to the World Cup last week. And strangely enough, I am being hosted here in Chicago by a couple named John and Joan, who I met in Uruguay. One of the things I did down there was get a second apartment, and I would sublet it to people who were coming to, investigate and explore Uruguay. And they were the last people to rent our apartment from us, and I haven't seen them in 5 years. And they're the reason I'm in Chicago right now. I'm staying with them downtown by the Trump Tower.
That's
Okay,
fantastic.
so it wasn't to come on the show. You were actually visiting people.
Well, it was a
All right, we're gonna take a break.
secondary thought.
Oh my gosh! Well, you're listening to Dart Talk with this guy, Mark, and Steve. We'll be right back. Oh, whoops. I hate when I do
Oh,
that.
whoops.
Yeah, well,
Stay in the zone.
we need an engineer. They're a good bunch of guys, and I hope they really play well tomorrow because if they get by Denmark, which I think they can do, the English have the pressure of being English, and they're not supposed to lose. Mm-hmm. And I think
And they're defending champions.
if you play well and you push them, I think when those guys tighten up and you have nothing to lose and you play like you have nothing to lose, I think you can bag them. Okay, back for the second half, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
DartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. That was a clip from last week's
That
show.
confused
That was an
me.
amazing clip.
I didn't know what was going on.
Well, because it took me a while to find it, but what did you think of that? You saw the for the people that don't know, here's the spoiler alert: the American team at the WDF World Cup slaughtered the British. I mean, I don't know if Lexington was more of a wipeout than Concord, but
It was incredible.
Cornwallis must have been like, oh, I know that feeling.
It was an amazing thing to see.
9-2, I believe, was the
They
final.
were up 3-0. England wins 2, and the U.S. wins 6 straight after that.
6 on the
9-2.
trot.
And I asked Steve Brown, the manager of the team, how many times the U.S. has ever beaten England. I believe that's only the second time since back in '85 in Australia. And that would, it wasn't as good of a margin. I think they went 9-0 back
Well,
then. But
I
still,
heard about
9-2 is a spanking.
It is a spanking. The 85 one, at least according to the British guys I talked to, is like a double asterisk because they were came straight to the dart hall after an 18-hour flight, and somebody had all the dart doors open in the hall, so there was some huge draft or something. So they say that one doesn't count. I haven't heard anything about this one. They're going to have a hard time saying, well, we just got our butts handed to us. We got served. That's all they can really say. But let's talk about that. I mean, this is not the first World Cup you've been to, but give us kind of a general sense of what it was like to be there and what your impressions were of the event.
Well, the World Cup, the first one I went to was the last one in Ireland, and I immediately fell in love with the whole situation because, the thing that I love to do is to go travel and find darts. It doesn't have to be a big tournament. It can be any board in the most exotic places. And to have countries come to you and to be able to see and meet all these people from around the world at a major tournament that has the feeling of the Olympics where everybody's in their national colors and they're not playing for money, they're just playing for pride. Opportunity for players that would never get to play some of the top players in the world. It's just a really, really magic feeling. And I just fell in love with it. So I vowed that I would never miss another, and I don't plan on missing another. 2 years from now, we'll be in Turkey. 4 years from now, in Japan. And I don't know. I'm still kind of in awe that I've gotten myself to 2 of those things, and I have a lot of people to thank for it. But it's just an amazing experience.
Well, what I was struck by a couple of things. Number one was, you're talking about, people, wearing their national uniforms. Our guys had ADO shirts on. Mm-hmm. And, the only one that I could really see was the final against Scotland, which I actually watched twice. And, they had Scottish flag flights. They had Scotland on the back of their shirts. And then we were wearing these red ADO shirts, which look like the same ones we wear at the Stanford All-Star. And I was like, man, those don't look as snappy.
Well, there's the people have all kinds of different ways of getting there and funding themselves there. And there's tons of national pride. And I can tell you this, after at some point during this tournament, I got to observe the team looking at new designs for the next year. And I can't tell you why they have which logos or what things they have, but...
Oh, I can wager a guess.
How many have you been to?
This was my second.
Okay, and you went to what, Ireland?
Ireland and Castlebar 2 years ago, and I have to thank Brenda Rausch for inviting me to be her guest. That was the whole reason I got there. And I managed to spin that into a massive trip, 3 months long in 16 countries. And I found darts all over the world.
Was it? Was there a difference compared to the 2 that you found?
Well, for me, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that I find them all amazing. And of course there were differences. And a lot of similarities. Some of the similarities, I'll tell you, is that the people of Ireland and the people of Newfoundland are fantastically welcoming and warm. Both countries are powerhouses of darts. They're secret meccas in many ways. They have really strong leagues and great players. There were 2 national Canadian players from the town of St. John's, Newfoundland, which is a gorgeous little town. Castlebar was also a very small town. Some of the differences were in Ireland, the venue and the resort were combined. Here in Newfoundland, they didn't have quite the same facilities, so the event was at a sports complex, and players were housed in 2 or 3 different hotels. But basically, it's kind of the same setup. A ton of boards, flags everywhere, an opening ceremony, a closing ceremony, and lots of pomp and circumstance. And it's really cool. You know, I could tell right away the second one that I was already feeling more recognized, and I kind of felt like I was supposed to be there, whereas the first one I kind of felt like, how did I get here? And nobody knows who I am. But right away, the second one, I'm seeing people that I saw last time. And
2 years later, right?
yeah, because a lot of people return again and again. Of course, there's all kinds of new people that come along, and it's just a really fantastic.
You're not in and out on these tournaments, but you mentioned the fact that local darts are big here and there. Do you get a chance to go out and see what kind of local darts they have going?
Oh yeah, boy, do you! In Ireland, after the events of the day, which usually ended around 5 or 6 o'clock, we'd be able to go into the town of Castlebar, and me doing my thing, I would go find every dart bar I can and meet all the local players. Lots of stories I've written about that, and the same thing in Canada. One of the coolest things for me in Canada was that I was being hosted by a player who was appearing in his first World Cup, Troy Hanlon, and so suddenly I had this inside scoop on the Canadian team. So once I arrived, it was like I was with Team Canada, which is just a really cool storyline to have.
How did they get beat so bad?
The Canadian
You
team?
didn't jinx them, did you?
Well,
because I thought we jinxed them.
I hope not.
Was it you?
Well, I hope not. I thought they played fantastically.
Because we'll have England host you next time.
But to get back to Mark's question, as soon as I landed there, and I didn't have any right to be met by a shuttle and be taken to the hotel, but right away there were a shuttle people there that not only offered to take me to my hotel or get me to where I needed to go. They took me to a boat tour that I went on right away. It was really fun. The weather was beautiful. As soon as I landed in the airport, these kind people in Newfoundland took me downtown to just barely get on this boat for a whale watching tour, and Brenda and her friend Renee joined me. Team Denmark was on the boat. Team Sweden was on the boat. So as soon as I landed, I'm on this international, feeling boat tour of dart players going out looking for whales and looking at the incredible, beautiful coastline of Newfoundland. But later that night, there's a fantastic bar. There's many great dart bars in St. John's, but I went to one called Rosie O'Grady's. The owner is one of the biggest supporters and promoters. He had a copy of the magazine I write for right there, and I was treated like a celebrity when I got there. The night I got there was Premier League night, so it's all singles, the best players in the province, and it was 10 or 12 boards of just bombing away, and I was just standing around in awe. I took 1,000 pictures, and it was a really cool feeling to see the I think that many of them could give you a great run, Steve. They're great players up there.
Well, I'm sure they could.
I was really impressed. And there were not only just the great players, but there were people there that weren't players that just go to watch these guys play.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that because, on live stream, they do have an archive of a lot of the events of the WDF World Cup. And, we posted a link on the Facebook page, on the Dart Talk Facebook page. If you guys go through there and look through it, you'll find it. I wasn't sure, especially during the men's team final, which is what I was really focused on, how many people were there as spectators as opposed to, the players were watching?
Well, obviously Newfoundland is a pretty remote area. In fact, a lot of teams couldn't afford to go there this time because a lot of players have to pay for their own way. And Canada's not the least expensive country in the world, so that was another factor. There were other countries, I know there were at least 2 countries from Africa, one being Uganda, I believe, that couldn't even attend even though they had planned on it because of the troubles in Kenya. They couldn't get their visas and legally come.
Yeah, I heard
so that was
that
was a real bummer. So the only African team was South Africa. Great team. But it would have been great to see more countries from Africa who just couldn't get there.
Yeah, because there's some Kenyans were doing pretty good yesterday. And, we do have results from the Lakeside qualifiers. There were, I think, 5, 6 Americans, 9, counting the women, that played yesterday. And the Kenyans actually did pretty good. And we've had Patrick Kithy on the show, and he was talking about how, darts is actually, pretty big in Kenya.
Yeah,
and
that's my understanding.
They got
too.
a lot of people that they really enjoy playing. They're very passionate about it, and they've had, some success.
Yeah, Patrick's a friend of mine. He originally moved to Oregon, And watching him play is just a treat. I know when he showed up on the scene in my state, everybody was like, "Whoa, who is this guy?" And he's going to finals, not even knowing how to play cricket, just getting advice from his teammates.
I mean, obviously, Oregon's not a small state. I mean, do you cover the whole state, or is there just a specific area that darts are popular?
That's a good question. I think you guys probably know, like in the United States, there's just pockets of soft tip and steel tip all over the place, and there's little microcultures everywhere. In my state, Portland's got a great league. Eugene has a great league. There's other small towns that are developing leagues. And I do touch base with a lot of those guys and encourage it and promote it. And whenever I'm traveling around my own state, anytime I go anywhere, local, near, far, I'm looking for it and I'm encouraging it. And it's happening. It's happening.
I mean, does like Patrick Kithe move into Oregon and he just happens to move into Portland and just start throwing darts, or did he move into a small town? And
well, the story I've heard, and I can't verify this because I've gotten it from someone else, but it sounds about correct. Patrick's story is that he grew up hand-carving darts for the purposes of hunting. And as he got older, he moved into the city of Nairobi, joined their league, became a champion, won some money. And I've heard that he actually used the proceeds from that to help move his family to Oregon. You got to say it right, Mystery Mark. Oregon.
Not Oregon.
Not Oregon.
Oregon.
Damn,
It's
sorry.
It's like the two words, or again.
Or Oregon.
You got
Why
it?
don't we take a break?
On that
and
note,
our pronunciation lessons will
Oregon.
continue. You're
He
listening
can
to
tell me that offline.
It's
Yeah.
Pronuncialman, right?
right. Dart Talk with Mark Steve and our guest Adam Smith. We'll be right back. Okay, back for the fourth quarter, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts. Talking with Adam Smith here. Adam, we left
That would
off.
be Adam Thorne-Smith.
Thank you, Mark.
Does it go all? You're going to end up with another nickname before the end of the show
Well, it doesn't
anyway.
matter. It's kinda like
I
saying-
mean, you may as well get used to
Kind of
Adam
like doctor.
Smith.
It's kind of like
You know,
Adam Thorne-Smith.
Mr. Economics. I don't know.
I'm just saying.
It's
That's
a
his
very
name.
difficult name to make nicknames for.
What was his?
The problem with Adam Thorne-Smith is there's the actress, whoever Thorne-Smith, and
Courtney Thorne.
Courtney Thorne-Smith. Thank you.
She's better looking.
A lot.
She's
Thanks, guys.
And so that's all. That's where
It's
my
not an
mind
insult.
goes when I hear
Yeah.
Thorne-Smith.
She's
so.
been on like 3 series.
Well, and
I
of
mean,
course
She's
there's
on
a
2.5
reason.
Men now.
And of course, there's Robert Thornton, the Thorn.
Right. That's another reason you got to lose that. He's a
that-
great
I
guy.
didn't
too.
know about him.
That
when
name
I got my
does
name.
not come to my mind when I hear Adam Thorne-Smith. I'm just
Right.
saying.
Anyway,
It shouldn't.
I digress.
got Courtney Thorne-Smith on the head now. So we were talking about the audience at the World Cup. You wanted to say something about the spectatorship?
Oh yeah,
or-
you were just asking about how big the audience was. It's only in a town of 100,000 people. But one of the other cool stories, besides Troy Hanlon, the youngest and newest player on the team, who's a local, who was my host, is Billy St. Croix, a really amazing player who actually helped tutor Troy into being a great player. And Billy,
Did you just say Toodle?
He said Toodle.
I said
I was
Toodle.
going to
Did
let
you
it
say
go.
Toodle?
that's a word, isn't
I
it?
was going to let it
I
go.
don't
Well,
think Toodle's a word.
I think we know he meant tutor, but how do you toodle someone?
I don't.
That we may put that in
I
the
just want to
description.
ask. So
Because I'm
I
not Canadian.
apologize.
I thought maybe it's
I
kinda,
apologize for interrupting,
Canadian
but
thing.
I wanted to know if Toodle was actually a word in other countries.
Anyway, we digress.
So Billy St. Croix actually ended up 5th in overall qualifying to be on the team, and wasn't on the team until just days before it was supposed to start. And Marcel Samard, who was supposed to be the 4th player, had a sickness in his family and had to withdraw. So all of a sudden, you had 2 local players playing for Team Canada, the national host team, playing in their own hometown with great respect from all their local league players. So one of the things I loved doing during the tournament, and I really followed Canada closely, is every time Troy or Billy were up, on a final leg, about to win a match, the crowd behind them was thick. There were a good 50 to 100 people, including their family and friends and just other local dart players. And the cheers that they were getting were some of the most chilling and memorable things. And I recorded all of those moments on my little camera. It was really fun to capture and feel the support that they had. But of course, other countries can't send people from all over, and it's difficult to get a lot of people from a small town to come out to an event like that.
Well, how did the team take what I assume was a disappointing loss?
Which team are we talking about?
Canada.
Well, they took it with perfect class. They like the Americans, they had not much to lose. They were playing in front of their hometown and their home team and their home country. And, of course, like any dart player, they took it hard. And a lot of times they played really well and won some big matches. Other times they were disappointed. But I know it was a thrill for all of them to be there. Chris Wallace, Dave Cameron, Billy and Troy, along with Cindy Hayhurst and Diane. And their youth players were fantastic. Alicia Looker, Dawson Merschel.
Yeah, we'll get to the results, so we should do those now because I know Dawson won the boys singles.
Yeah.
I think something like that.
Yeah, the Canadian youth won the cup. They won the youth cup.
They won the youth cup. Let's run through these results if I can please find them. We'll do the team thing last. So let me see, where are we? In the men's pairs, top 4 was Wales and England, and then England.
Not so easy, is it?
I don't know what SA is.
South Africa.
All right, so South Africa were the
San
runner-ups.
Antonio.
They played exceptional. Some of those abbreviations are tough.
Or, I'm sorry, San Angelina or whatever it was. Is that
San Angelo.
Well,
Angelo.
for example, Switzerland is CH. That's for the Federation of Helvetica.
Okay,
or
we're gonna have to send a letter to the WDF about getting on the TLA train. Okay,
whatever that is.
3-letter acronym. All right, like ENG means England. I mean, I get that part. Okay, so England, Tony O'Shea and Stephen Bunting won the pairs over South Africa. In the men's singles, top 4 was Wayne Warren of Wales and Tony O'Shea of England, and Stephen Bunting upset second place to Wesley Harms of the Dutch, of the Netherlands. So congrats to those guys. The boys singles, Dawson Merschel of Canada was top 4, or I'm sorry, joint 3rd, along with Bradley Halls of England, and Quinn Webster of the Dutch, whitewashed by Jamie Rundell of Australia.
Jamie played fantastic. South Africa was one of those teams that really played all around great.
But he's from Australia.
Australia.
Okay.
Team Australia was fantastic. South Africa, Wales, Scotland, they all really put in great performances.
Yeah, I was surprised at Scotland. I was surprised Australia didn't make it through in the men's team.
Well, their youth player made them proud.
Yeah, they sure did.
6-0 win.
For the women's pairs, let's see. Top 4 was Norway and Scotland, and the Canadians. Was her name Diane Gobel or Donna?
I believe that's her last name. She's a French Canadian, so I couldn't speak with her much. But she is the cutest little shooter, and somebody easily to underestimate. And she shot great. In fact, there were times she was carrying Cindy, who's the top shot in Canada.
Right. So they were runners up to Trina Gulliver and Detta Hedman. in the women's singles, let's see, Cindy Hayhurst was top 4 with Corrine Hammond of Australia. Irina Armstrong, second place, and the champion Detta Hedman of England. Probably not her first time.
No, Dita and Trina are fantastic. Amazing players.
Yeah, they are really
They had some tough matches.
the class of the women's field these days, I would think. They're up there anyway.
Let me mention Japan really quick. There was a match between Dita and the Japanese player. I'm not sure of her name. And the Japanese player was fantastic, really had that match in hand. And Dita just barely came back and grabbed it. It was a really emotional, good match.
Okay. In the girls' singles, which I guess is, under 21 or whatever, under 25, Sophie Jan Bendorf of Denmark and Talia Karillison of South Africa were top 4. And Tiarna Smith of Australia, second place to Casey Gallagher of England. In the youth pairs, let's see, England and Scotland were second place. Australia was the runner-up to the Canadians, which was Dawson Mershall and
Jamie again.
And Jamie Licker. Okay, well, congrats to all those guys.
Another
and then,
great match.
Then, of course, the one match we were all following, especially after the Americans beat England. Top 4 in the men's team, England and Sweden. USA second place, 1 dart short of a deciding leg with Scotland. Scotland ended up to be the champion. What do you think of the men's final?
Yeah, well, let me tell you how I first heard about the men's final. So, if you know me, you know I'm good friends with Brenda Rausch. I also became good friends with Callie West after attending the second World Cup with her. Big shout out to their efforts. So I'm over there watching Brenda and Callie's matches, and I turned to Steve Brown, and he's like, our men are up 3-0 over England. And this is like the quarterfinals or so, I believe.
Semis.
The semis is when we beat them?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. And I was like, what? And I just turned around and I ran over there, and I couldn't believe when I got over there. It was 3-0, the Americans leading. I just stayed glued right there. England started coming back. It looked like the usual situation. England would get on a roll and come back, scores 3-2. And next thing you know, Robbie Phillips, Gordon Dixon, Tom Sawyer, and, of course, Larry Butler, the Eagle, ran off 6 straight. And they were just playing as fluid and easy as possible. Everybody had amazing averages. Until it got down to the end, Tom Sawyer happened to be in the last leg, and I thought, okay, if there's any time it's time for one of our players to start tightening up, it's going to be this last leg when we're just about on the verge of this great win. And Tom stayed as cool and calm as possible, hit this perfect 2-dart 58 out, and it was just euphoria. It was an amazing win, that semifinals. And right about that time is when I sort of stopped following Team Canada everywhere, because I kind of felt like I was on their team this year, being hosted by them. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to hang out with Team USA now. And we went out down to George Street and St. John's, and we celebrated that night. It was a really fun feeling. And we all kind of thought that they would have a bit of an advantage because the finals are played on the last day of the tournament. So, you think it might be hard to beat England in the semifinals and keep that sort of energy going if you have to play the finals immediately next. So they actually had 2 days to enjoy that victory and prepare themselves mentally for the last day. And that last final, another fantastic start. I was sitting right up front, and we got up to a 4-1 lead.
Yeah.
It was fantastic, and I can't say that everybody shot the best darts that they could. Certainly some of them were disappointed with how the darts were falling, but it was just a great match. Scotland just dug really deep, and it got very close down the stretch, and Scotland just came out victorious, and power to them. Proud for them.
Yeah, I know you were busy over the weekend. I watched the final, and I'll post a link to it, I guess, on the Facebook page if anybody missed it. They were up 4-1 and playing great. The American team, even when they struggled, they managed to hit the right dart at the right time, and all of a sudden there was like 3 out of 4 legs where the Americans were on a finish or on a double, and some Scottish guy would throw a ton 80 to leave like 56 or something. And they came storming back, and yet, we managed to, maintain it, and I believe it was 6-6. And I was like literally on the edge of my seat. I was like, wow, this is gonna be some serious darts. The format itself, for the people that haven't seen it, was very unusual and not, to my mind, very player-friendly. What they would do is they'd put 2 guys on stage, one from each team. They'd take a 6-dart warm-up, and they'd play 1 leg. Then they would leave the stage, and 2 other guys would go up, take a 6-dart warm-up, play 1 leg, leave the stage. That's how the entire event ran. And they assigned numbers to the players, and they had some sort of, I don't know, chart or flow chart where you wouldn't play the same people twice. And it was really sort of like confusing. And all credit to Maximum Darts. They did a great job with the streaming. They actually had some commentators that, you know.
Do you think it was confusing to the players, or do you think?
No, I don't think it was confusing to the players. But as a player, you want to get into a rhythm, and it's hard to get into a rhythm when you're only playing 1 leg.
Right.
You know, I'll say a couple things about that final match and the coverage that we got. First of all, the team that was behind the technology was working so hard all week to bring that to us, and there was all kinds of competition for bandwidth. On the last day, they shut everybody out of the internet stream so that they could get that feed out nice and clear, and I think it did go off pretty well that way that day. But as far as watching the players play, Scotland against the United States, you know, Scotland's a very energetic team, lots of cheering. Whereas the Americans were more poised and composed. They were extremely classy in the way they held themselves, both in their wins and their losses. I happened to be sitting just off stage where there were 4 practice boards. And whereas guys that were about to come up would be throwing some darts at the board maybe, mostly the other 3 guys were all standing together, all 6 of them, the 3 from Scotland and the 3 from the United States, and they were talking to each other, celebrating the shots, and watching the whole match together. It was just, you know, like the World Cup is, it was a very friendly but very serious competition, and Scotland just got the better of them in, you know, best of 17.
Well, it was, you know, it came down to we fell behind, what was it, 8-6. And Larry went up against the throw and played a spectacular leg up to the point where he was on a 12-darter, and he busted 91. With he went single bull, trip 16, went for the double fort or the double 9 for the win, and dumped it right into the double 13. So now the other guy had a whack to clinch.
You mean the double 12?
Yeah.
If you had double 13,
double 14.
I'm sorry. If you had double 13 going for double 9,
Sorry.
that's pretty bad.
Like I said, I'm sleep deprived.
And it was right on the wire.
So
it
was right there.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
So the Scottish guy had a whack at I think 144, and didn't make it. So Larry's back on 91, and he did it exactly the same way. You know, single bull on his first dart, and this time he didn't hit the triple 16. He hit the single 16. So he had to go back to the double bull for the win, and he nailed it dead center, 1 hole, and that made it 8-7. And then Tom Sawyer had the throw in the next leg, started out with a ton 40, and it was looking pretty good. And then the Scottish guy started out with back-to-back ton 40s, got ahead, and it got to the point where Sawyer had a whack at 82, just missed the double bull, threw the fat 17, and just missed the double 20. So we had a dart to get to a deciding leg, which I thought would have been like absolutely gut-wrenching. I don't even know who they would have picked. I would assume it was weird. Everybody played well. Everybody played, you know, at the beginning, Robbie Phillips was playing spectacular darts. At the end, Larry was playing spectacular darts. When you lose, you're never going to be happy with the way you played. But I think overall, you know, Gordon and Tom and Robbie and Larry, I thought they represented our darts very well.
And they represented our country very well.
You know, it would have been great if they won, but I talked to Larry a little bit today, and I mentioned the final, and he said a few things about it, and we'll have him on the show next week. He can, say it to everybody in his own words, but almost immediately he started smiling and started talking about the England match. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of funny. I mean, so they didn't win, but I think all those guys, for the rest of their, lives or dart careers or whatever, they're going to be thinking about how they beat England in the World Cup, who are the defending champions and have probably won the thing, 3 or 4 times as often as anybody else. And just to take that away from it, I think is great credit to those guys.
It really was fun to watch their chemistry. I've got to see 2 U.S. teams play together and see the chemistry, and Larry was certainly enjoying himself, as were they all. Everybody just handled themselves with great class and gave their best effort, and some days it's there and some days it's not.
Well, yeah, on this show we never quite simplify it quite like that, but we all know what you mean, and it's
Yeah.
certainly true.
That
And-
match was filled with so many heartbreaking darts that were in and out. Players that should have won legs that somehow they didn't win. Players that shouldn't have won legs that were winning.
Yeah, there were. It seemed to me that there was a lot of pressure. At one point, I saw somebody on 271 throwing at the top of the board, and I'm shaking my head like, "Don't do that." And me, I'm pretty critical, and it's very easy to be an armchair quarterback when you're not there and you're just sitting there, looking at a tape and stuff. And I'm not going to be sitting here nitpicking everybody. Well, you should have done this. You should have done this. When you're on 240, this is what you do. I'm not going to do that. But I thought overall, our guys were good. Our guys started out like they were going to absolutely bury Scotland. And to Scotland's credit, they stepped it up because we started playing at a very high level. And they posted the averages from the England match. And we had 3 guys. Larry was right around
90,
100. We had 3 guys over 90. And it's like, that's those world-class darts in a format like this where you don't get in a rhythm and stuff like that. I thought, wow, this is awesome. And they started out exactly the same way. And to Scotland's credit, Scotland, did not back down. They, threw a few ton 80s in there. And, they had the averages kind of posted, as the match went on, cumulatively. And by the end of the match, it was identical. They're within like a point of each other, as far as average and stuff. So everything was like, every leg was kind of right down to the wire practically.
It was really nail-biting stuff. I mean, I totally disappeared from being some sort of statistician appreciator, and I just turned into a fan during that match. And I was just watching and hoping and praying, and it was just a lot of fun to watch. Some of the guys on that team are some of the most friendly, charming, promoting guys that I've ever met. And I'll tell you a quick funny story. Gordon Dixon was trying so hard, and he may not have played the best darts that he wanted. And, those guys take losses hard.
Well, of course you do. And nobody ever plays the best darts they want to. I mean, you're happy when you win, but you can always play better.
And
you always think anyway.
And I, as a person that tries to always find the positives in things, I'm sitting around with the team after their loss, and Gordon said something really funny. I was trying to just say something, non-really related to the match. We were watching the closing ceremonies, and Gordon was still kind of hurting from the loss. And, he's such a fun guy, even when he's trying to get over a tough loss like that. And I said something like, it's kind of cool that, the United States at the end of the alphabet gets to always be near the end of the closing ceremonies. And Gordon slams the table, and he's like, I don't even like being last in the alphabet. And I just thought that was a great line.
Well, when's he ever last in the alphabet?
Well, the order of countries go in alphabetical order, and the only one after us is Wales. And anyway,
Right.
it was just
Okay.
a fun
It's kinda
comment.
like
And
that.
It was kind of like the moment where it's like, okay, let the pain go and start enjoying the game for what it is again.
Well, it's tough. I mean, it's the pressure that some players have on themselves. By the way, I heard today that Jimmy Windmayer signed with Winmaw.
Congratulations.
It's great for Jimmy, and I know he's planning on playing well at the Masters tomorrow. We were going to do a little preview of it. Basically, we're running out of time. So long story short, they had the Lakeside qualifiers today for over in Hull apparently, and no one from America did very well. No one from Canada did very well either. Steve Brown made it to the top 32, but he's still, I think, 3 or 4 matches short of qualifying. So hopefully tomorrow, when the Winmaw Masters starts, guys will do well. I took some notes on the draws. We have 3 women over there.
Do we need to take a break and go to the fourth quarter? Or
this is the fourth quarter.
Have we passed that completely?
Is
Oh,
there
yeah.
overtime?
Yeah, well, we're in overtime now.
Oh, okay.
Excellent.
I don't remember stopping and going to the fourth quarter.
You don't remember stopping?
Did we do that?
Yeah, we must have.
We must have.
Yeah, because we're
Oh,
already
we
over an
had
hour.
to.
We had to have.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Oh,
Check
it
the
was
tape.
when I made fun of him and
Check the
cut it
tape.
off. Yeah. Okay. If we didn't, and the listeners have been cheated from a break, I'm pretty sure they're going to be fine with it. No, but I looked at the draws for the Winmaw Masters tomorrow. Jimmy Wood is in what I consider a pretty tough draw. He's got to play Gary Elliott in the first round, and then waiting for him after that's Andy Fordham. Everybody knows Andy was top dog in the BDO for a long time. He had some health issues he's trying to come back from. And then after that, he's got the number 5 seed, Alan Norris. And that's not easy. And then, of course, the top 12 guys or whatever in the BDO have a bye into the money. So they're waiting for you too. Steve Brown's got in the second round's got to play the number 19 seed Tom Gregory. Dave Walsh is in the same bracket with the number 1 seed. I didn't recognize anybody he was playing. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think when it comes to BDO players, if you know their names, you're in trouble because you only know a few of them, right? They don't get that much press. Joe Cheney has an interesting draw. He's going to play one of the Kenyans. He's going to play Pip Blackwell, which if that doesn't sound like a transplanted UK person living in Kenya, I don't know what was. He's, from like, I had a farm in Africa, kind of, hey, Pip, let's go. Anyway. But he's in the bracket with Michael Vanderhurst. He's the 14th seed. Jeremiah Millar has a Canadian to play first, Kylie Edmonds, and he's in the same group as Martin Adams, which I don't know how Martin Adams is a 15th seed, but apparently that's how they do things. And Robbie Phillips is playing Tony Martinez of Belgium, and he's in the bracket with the number 2, Scott Mitchell, who I don't believe is the ex-Detroit Lion.
Come on, Robbie.
I hope not.
So anyway, and then, I looked at the women's draws, and they were so depressing, I didn't even type them up. I mean, the women are all in very tough brackets with top-name players in, like, the second round. So it's going to be, we're rooting for them, for Pam and for Weeble. I was going to say Sarah, but Weeble. And also Lisa Ayers from, I think she's from Tennessee, is making her first trip to the Masters. So we're wishing all those people well. Real quick, we've got some DPNY results. They had their Players' Championship Tour number 7. Top 8 was Bob Garzone, Joe Swick, Jim Newman, John Imhoff. Top 4, Timmy O'Gorman, Matt Traub. Jimmy Witt was the runner-up, and Paul Burns beat him 6-5. So congrats to those guys. Also, we're wishing well to all the people going out to Hong Kong for Stage 7
Sure,
Darts
absolutely.
Live. That you guys can tune in at, I think, like 1 in the morning on Sunday for that. I know Scotty Kirchner's going. I know Larry Butler's going. I think Rick Espinoza, who did really well in Vegas, he's going as well. There may be a couple of guys I didn't have time before the show because I have to take this guy to every dart bar in town last night. Did we even talk about that?
7 bars last
Okay,
night.
we're going to wrap it up,
yes,
but
yes, we
we're going to wrap it up. But just real briefly before we let you go, give us your impression of Chicago as a city and Chicago as a dart city.
Well,
in,
thanks
like,
for having
25
me on the show.
words or less.
You are one of the people that also has made this trip incredible. I easily broke my record for finding the most dart bars in one day yesterday.
I
My
am
legs
totally
were
awesome, aren't I?
dog.
There's a subtle perfection in
You're all
everything
right.
I do.
I like
Yeah.
you better when you lose at 301 to me, but I was shocked how many dart bars were within walking distance. We did a lot of walking, but it was all within one area.
And we skipped 2 of them.
Yeah, there's dart bars all around here, and I'm all for that.
What city can you walk to 9 dart bars from your house?
I
mean,
don't know.
I don't know about Manhattan. I don't know how
certainly like
spread
it.
out it is, but so you got to meet some of the locals. You got to see some of the venues. What'd you think overall of Chicago as a dart city?
I think it's fantastic. I think it's filled with dart bars and lots of great players. And boy, some of the dart bars are really, really well designed. They may not have the most boards, but very cozy. I really like the first one we went to, Will's Northwoods.
Will's Northwoods Inn, yeah.
Exceptionally nice bar. It was really cool finishing up at Monsignor's and meeting Paul.
What'd you think of my little torture chamber at Will's?
I thought that was really cool behind the secret door.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was
Wasn't
pretty
that
cool.
nice?
And I have pictures of it all, and it will all be in my stories.
Okay, that's awesome. And then we'll post links to your articles when they come out.
I appreciate that.
We sure appreciate you coming on. I'm a little disappointed you didn't come here just for us, but I guess we'll take it as it comes.
In a lot of ways I did, but my goal is to see the culture and the nature and the darts, and so I always go
We can
after
spin
all
it
of
however we want.
Well, once he's gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Once he's gone,
Right.
we can do whatever
I'll
we
thank
want.
you again
but-
for having me on the show and showing me around, and hopefully we can do more of that the next few days. I'm going to be staying with Jeff Good. Is it Jeff Good or Jeff Goody? So
That's a good question.
Or is it good?
whatever it
I
is.
think it's good.
He's good
I
to
think
me.
it's good.
And
Like Jeff Gouda cheese?
Yeah, right. Jeff Gouda cheese.
Okay.
and I have
That
2 or 3
works.
more days in Chicago to keep searching and finding darts.
Well, the Bears play tomorrow. So
We'll watch the game while we play.
Yeah. Well, I generally don't play during Bear games. You haven't seen, if you really want a trip, come watch a Bear game with me.
Are we going to the game?
No, we're not going
No,
to
it's
the
in
game.
New York.
I thought it was here.
Oh, I thought it was
No, I
in
think
New York.
I think they're here.
Oh, are they?
No, yeah,
Go
yeah.
Bears.
Yeah, they're here.
My bad.
The Bears.
But I'm leery of playing a winless team.
I know.
With its back to the,
Yeah.
how you don't kick a bleeding dog that's cowering in a corner
Especially
because
with
it'll
a Manning,
bite.
with a Manning at the helm, huh?
Well, they don't have Archie, so they're not invincible. If they had Archie, I'd be worried. Can I tell you? The guy was the best ever. Anyway, thanks everybody for listening. You can catch us on TuneIn.com, on Stitcher.com, on iTunes. We have our own YouTube channel, darttalk.us. If you subscribe, you'll get an email when we put the archive up. Thanks to everybody in the chat room. We'll stay around for the after party, but we're going to stop recording, and we will Dart Talk to you next Wednesday. Everybody take care.
Thank you.
Over and double out.